Welcome to the United States of Tiffany. Our commentary offers a humorous take on wrestling. Please note, we're not bullying or attacking the wrestlers. We're engaging with the choreographed sport and its storylines. Our jokes and observations are about the characters and storylines, not the real people behind them. Tourists and citizens alike, welcome. Enjoy the show, and remember, it's all in good fun.
All right, we're going to be reading Rico's book today. If you came for wrestling, you probably missed it, honey, because we're not talking about wrestling today. We're going to be reading Rico's book. Let me see. Hello, Kayla. Hello, Mika. I'm going to give people a little bit more time to come in. Okay? So just hold tight, y'all. We're going to get started. Can you give me my phone? Why don't have one? It's already the other end, yeah. Why are you saying what? You hear me?
No, I just think it'd be great.
The bag handle right here. Heavy. Somebody, let's have his book. Not off completely, Junior. That's why you have a towel. We'll get sicker if you don't. All right. I hope everybody got their stuff. You know, you got your chips or whatever, water, wine, whatever makes you happy, loves. Hello, Aaliyah. All right, y'all didn't read the title. Listen, we're taking a break from wrestling. And wrestling is about to be going full force for the next 6 months, okay? And over here in these parts, we're going to take a break, okay? We're going to take a break, recharge, regroup, so we don't get burnt out, okay? And the way I know how to do that is we supplement our love for wrestling with something else. My friend Rico wrote a book. It's pretty freaking good. So I promised him that we would read it together and give him some feedback on the book. Now, I know everybody don't like reading, so I will read the book for y'all. Y'all can listen to me read it. Okay? And then we'll talk about it. We'll talk about the book. We'll see how you feel about the characters, all of that good stuff. Okay? I do have to play y'all a little intro so y'all can know where we are in terms of our characters and the chapters, since some of y'all haven't been listening to the playbacks of the books. So, of the book itself. So I'm going to let Rico tell you, I'll give you guys a nice little recap of the last couple of chapters we read. And then we're going to be heading into chapter 8. I believe. Okay. Let me get that print for you. I'm running. All right, let's get chapter 8's recap up and going. Okay, so y'all ready to listen? I hope y'all got your snacks and stuff. We're gonna get started. I'm going to pull up the chapter we're going to start with. Because I know some of y'all just like to be able to see something on the screen, which is fine. You know, I ain't mad at you for that. Let me get to chapter 8. And then we share this tab. There we go. All right, so this is chapter 8. Alrighty then. If y'all are ready for the recap, we are about to get into it. Rico's gonna recap. All right, y'all ready? Roll.
Previously, on When the Dead Still Walk. After shaking off the effects of what happened at the mall, Warren found himself awake and alert. After his encounter with Victor wasn't exactly what he wanted it to be, he was a little restless. His best friend, John Bilal, the acting director of the Nest, decided that the best way to take his mind off of things was to show him around town, so to speak. He showcased what exactly the Nest has to offer, showing that not only have they been able to survive, but they have been able to thrive. Having reinstated the plumbing, the power lines, the electricity, they had finally resembled some form of normalcy. During this trip, he enlisted the help of China, a member of that expedition at the mall that Warren ran into. China and her sister Penelope, or Nelsie, as she's more commonly referred to, were the lead nurses in regards to Warren's care. China was able to be a bit of a tour guide, adding extra bits of detail and context to John's massive little tour. Upon entering a refurbished high school, one that's been converted into housing for the remaining of the tenants of the Nest, John let it slip to Warren that he had a room waiting for him. Always the lone wolf, Warren did not take this news well, as he was not planning on staying in the Nest long term. John, frustrated by the growing tension between him and his brother, got upset at Warren, citing that he is simply just running away yet again. This leads to a massive argument between the two men, one that is cut abruptly short by our resident annoyed teenager, Bishop. She cuts the two men off, reminding them that they are arguing very loudly in a residential area. People can hear them. People are living there. John corrects himself and simply departs from the room, prompting China to wheel Warren out. It is during this time that, after Warren is back in his hospital room, China and Warren bond some, swapping trauma stories of their families and what it took for them to get there. It starts to become a solace for the two of them. Pressing on, we get an insight into China and her character, what it's taken for her to get here. China is joined in the Nest by her two younger sisters, Penelope, again, Nelsie, and Stevie. We get hints at what happened to her family in the previous chapter, stating that after the infection took root and the waste first sprung up, her mother could not handle the weight of this new world, opting to down all the liquor in the house and walk out. The youngest child of the Cartwright household, Margot, had snuck up onto the roof 2 years into the outbreak and had fallen overnight. Thus, the waste found her, and her body was not discovered until the morning after. The Cartwrights, those who remained, which would be China, Stevie, their brother Bobby, and their youngest sister Penelope, would make the daring trek from West Virginia up to the nest in what remains of New York. During this trip, China reveals that brother Bobby pushed his sister Nelsie out of the way from a falling tree that ultimately led to his death. We get an insight into how perilous that trip exactly was and exactly what it took for them to get there. Pressing forward, we go back into Victor's perspective, finding out third hand that John is proposing another trip at this college. The college has been a point of contention between the two of them for some time now. And within the coming chapters, we will find exactly what this college has to offer and exactly what issues Victor has with going back there. And then, of course, Georgina, who's been moving pieces in the background, all in the hopes of staging a coup with the esteemed Antoine. All of this will come to a head in the chapters to come, so stay tuned as our wonderful President Tiffany E. reads the rest of the chapters.
All right. We got our recap. Now let's get into this story. Is Chris home? Did he come home?
No.
Somebody's outside. They pulled in the driveway and then.
He has some people across the street. I don't know what's going on with that.
Well, it's going to pull in our fucking driveway.
I noticed that too.
What's wrong with you? Alrighty, let's get into Where the Dead Still Walk. Chapter 8. Yahya, John, Bilal. I open my eyes to the chilly morning, turning to my side to meet the still empty space on the mattress. I run my hands across the sheets, finding them cold and undisturbed like they have been the last 3 nights. My heart lurches, but today is a big day. I must press on. I kick the sheets off of me. I get out of bed, making sure to dress it back up afterwards. I carry on with my morning routine. Shower, brush my teeth, get dressed, do my hair, grab my binder. Vix's absence is noticeable. My morning tasks usually disrupted by having to maneuver around him as he did his own. Being able to get everything done within the hour felt weird, foreign almost. I thumbed through the binder, going over my notes for the council meeting for the town hall. Fitz introduced the idea of having a town hall meeting once a month, while the department heads, better known as the council, meet twice a month. It's the first Monday of November, so it's time for the double whammy. I tucked the binder into my rucksack, catching a glimpse of the corner of the room. It's a little nook I made for myself. My various journals scattered about, complete with the modest chair. I take a moment this morning, since I have the time, sitting down in the chair and bowing my head in morning prayer. So much has been happening these last few days that I've diverted from my normal prayer schedule. I fell into a whisper of a routine, with most of my prayers devolving into something, Allah, thank you for keeping me alive, and nothing more. But things felt different this morning. I took a deep breath and spoke from my heart. I've been neglecting you, Abba, and I'm sorry. I pray for your forgiveness, and I hope you can imbue me with your strength for the days ahead. My brain replays scenes from the previous week, stumbling across Warren, my arguments with Victor, finding a new way forward in regard to the college, Warren's initial reluctance to stay, and my not so pleasant way of pressuring him to help. It all starts to swirl around a bit, the flurry of thoughts almost overwhelming me before I grit my teeth and take a deep inhale, steadying myself. There are a lot of trials before me, trials I will have to face and some that I'm wading through now. I know my capabilities. I know them enough to see I cannot do it alone. Steel my heart and ease my mind so that I can undertake what lies ahead. Amen. I stand up, feeling an invigorating sense of ease taking root as I grab my pack and head out. I have a small stop to make before heading to the meeting, hence the early start to my morning. I walk along the nest, taking in the surrounding scenery. A lush pink hue has been casted by the freshly risen sun. Temperatures continue to drop. In previous years, this would have sent shockwaves of terror through me. But with all the progress we have made as a community, that fear is unfounded now. The uneasy feeling in my stomach remains, though. I guess the evidence in front of me isn't enough to fully dissipate my anxiety. I think back to the last time I felt this pit in my gut. I was walking with Warren then. Something he said reminded me of my family, and it all just came back to me. I wasn't the closest with them before everything went down, especially after that whole thing. But there's still a lot of love that I have for them. Love I can't think about anymore. Not for long, at least. My trek only takes about 30 minutes, reaching the double doors of the repurposed high school. I swipe my magnetic key card and step into the building. Warm air greeting me like an old friend. Before making a left down the hall near the admin office, I walk lightly, not wanting to stomp and disrupt any of the other tenants residing in this wing. Before finding the door I've come to know. I wrap my knuckles on the door softly, fist opening it promptly and pulling me into a quick hug. It's nice to see you, boss man. He smiles. You've been busy these last few months. There's a lot of work to do. I'm quite familiar. He motions for me to sit, making my way over to the familiar beat-up, peeling brown leather couch. Fitz plopping down on the matching recliner that's in the same state. I have another hour to kill before my meeting, so I exchange pleasantries with Fitz. I've missed talking with him like this. He was always a lively man in spite of his age. Even now, he's as chipper as ever, but the wear and tear are much more visible now. He was about as tall as me. He shared a similar husky build. On the rare occasion he would join an expedition, he could keep pace with me. He was slimmer now, the symptoms of whatever he came down with growing more apparent each time I see him. His hair was thinner, the dark gray hair he once had, now much lighter, and his arm trembled each time he used them. How are the wife and kids? He grins. As good as they can be. Rita's been on my ass about maintaining a routine since all of this happened. He motions at himself. But I told her, I'm dying anyway. No sense in delaying it any further. He lets out a series of coughs, the force of each racking his whole body. He pulls a small bag of tissues from his pocket, pulling one out to spit out whatever he coughed up. So you're not going to fight it? He shrugs his left shoulder. Why should I? Well, you're a valuable member of the nest, Fitz. We need someone like... He raises his shaky hand to me, and I stop talking, waiting for what he has to say. He doesn't speak right away, looking at the floor in a calm silence before eventually meeting my eyes. I had a good run, John. But at my age, what can you do? I'm proud of what I've been able to build here. All the more proud that someone like you came along to continue what I started. But now I just want to die old and happy. I'm already 2/3 of the way there. He begins to let out one of his signature laughs, but is quickly replaced with another round of coughs. I offer a rueful smile in return, conversation as a whole making me uncomfortable. Fitz's eyes meet for a bit, neither of us breaking the awkward silence. How are you doing, John? He implores. And I mean, really doing. I gave a half-hearted chuckle. As good as I can be, Fitz. I can't complain. Bullshit, Bilal. I may be dying, but you can't pull the wool over my eyes. We both know you're not smart enough to do that. My breath hitches as my palms grow sweaty. I have been keeping my hands together, building warmth between them. That is only heightened now under Fitz's scrutiny. I don't meet his gaze, keeping my eyes to the floor as he bore into me. Well, it hasn't all been sunshine and rainbows. I told you it would get lonely. Yeah, but yeah, but still, I'm not sure about where I'm headed. Elaborate. Take a deep breath, finally meeting the older man's eyes, only to find a warm invitation. The words tumbled out of me before I even realized I started talking. I run through the mall, finding Morton, the horde, we escaped, all the way up to Victor being MIA. Fitz listens intently, nodding along at certain parts, and even giving me the occasional wide-eyed expression. He waits until I'm done soaking in my words as they hang in the air. The older man rises slowly from the worn-down recliner he had been sitting in, walking over to my side of the room before crouching down in front of me. We were at eye level now. He puts a reassuring hand on my shoulder and gives me an affectionate squeeze. I know it doesn't feel this way, but you're doing good. These last 2 years have been really good, despite a few hiccups. I want to believe you, Fitz, but I just feel like a damn fraud. I did too, multiple times, but I pressed on irregardless. I turned my gaze to the window, the pink sky from the earlier morning morphing into a pale orange, a similar sky to the one I saw the morning after my inauguration, when Victor and I kept each other up the whole night. Suddenly, more memories of Victor float into my brain, further heightening the pit in my stomach. What about Victor? How am I supposed to lead everyone to believe I have it all under control when I'm at odds with my second in command? Fitz takes a beat, gazing up towards the ceiling as his face scrunches in thought. Victor, I can attest to. But Rita and I weren't always on the same page either. Hell, we're rarely on the same page now. But you have to learn to prioritize what is most important, the good of the community or your partner's feelings. My face twists in exacerbation. Fitz, that's pretty harsh. The older man shrugs. You are responsible for an entire community of people now. Not everyone is going to be willing or able to understand that, but your duty will and should always be them first. His words make sense. They do, but it doesn't help to alleviate any of the chaos in my mind. I understood what it meant when Fitz first came to me about being nominated, or at least I thought I did. The last 2 years have been difficult, but we hit so many milestones that made it all worth it. We finally fixed the power lines and brought back the electricity. We cleared out the high school. Every department is thriving with supplies, people, and returns. And the mall, how we lucked out at the mall. It's way too far and open for us to repurpose it fully, but it's a diamond mine of resources. There are some heavy losses, especially with all of our attempts at that college. The last trip really doing a number on everyone, but it pales in comparison to what we've been able to achieve. Another memory of Victor swings into my mind. This one was of the extraction after the last attempt at the college. The sting doesn't replay in full, thank Allah. But Victor's haunted face is burned into my vision, as well as a reminder that I was the indirect cause of it. I don't know if I can handle it all. I mumbled the words, barely audible. Do you believe I made a mistake in nominating you to succeed me? I'm caught off guard. What? No. I believed you could do it, Bilal. Don't start letting me down when you're just getting started. I look up to meet his gaze, seeing nothing but hope within them. He believed in me, not just as a leader, but as a person. And he's told me that several times. You've got this. I wouldn't have fought as hard as I did for you if I didn't truly see your potential. And look around. He gestures toward the window, beckoning me to rise with him as we step forward. Despite being on ground level, Fitz's residence has a wonderful view of the nest. I gaze out at the sight, the rising sun adding to the scenery as I see the vast open space of the town square, surrounded by buildings. The residents were moving about, milling about as they head to their assigned duties. I may have started this, but you're evolving it. This is what I envisioned when I saw you, and this is just the beginning. I pan over to his face, a wide smile painted. This is your beginning. 14 years prior. The sound of gunshots echoes off the walls. My thumb and index finger ache from the vibration and repeated use. They're coming in from the left, Bilal. Watch your six. Soto barks, voice cracking in the frequency. Heard. I pan around a full 180 degrees, firing at the train of men swarming in. Good catch, Soto. No problem, bro. I got to respond, but I'm cut off by a snarky voice. Yeah. You two can such each other's dicks later, okay? But we got a battle to win. You jealous, Ruit? Soto coos. I know you don't get to play. I know you don't get play, but I didn't think it was bad enough you switched teams. Oh, shut the fuck up, Soto. Ruit finds his way to us, firing a shot at Soto, so much to his annoyance. Shit, you can't take a fucking joke. You don't gotta be such a sissy. Both of you, stop it. I command, both men letting out annoyed huffs. I go to instruct them both, devising a plan to win this round, before a ring of the doorbell pulls me from the game. Soto's character turns to face me as his voice crackles through my headset again. Is someone at the door? I think so. Doorbell rings again. Bilal, can you get it? Sure thing. I move into a saluted corner on the map, pausing the game and setting the controller down. I remove the headset in time to hear the doorbell ring a third time. I'm coming. Hold your horses. I exit from my bedroom, make my way down the wooden stairs, the boards creaking under my weight. Doorbell rings for a fourth time, the noise sparking my annoyance as I swing the door open. Hey, I was greeted by a pair of brown eyes. Is Warren Soto here? The owner of those eyes was on the shorter end, around Soto's height. He actually kind of looked like Soto a bit. They had the same facial structure, almond-shaped eyes, as well as matching. Now, see, Rico always putting some weird shit. I'm going to say they have matching noses because I know he put this word in here to describe their noses and something part of their ethnicity, but I'm just going to say, I ain't going to say that word right, and we just going to say they got matching noses. He can explain in the comments what that is and what it means. He was noticeably younger, looking no older than a high school kid. His curly hair fastened on the top of his head. My face is fixed into a puzzled look in spite of his more helpful one. You're looking for Soto. His face lights up. Yes. You know him? Does he live here? Yeah. I cast a glance up the stairs in the direction of his bedroom before turning back to the kid. Wait, who are you? His brow furrows. I'm his brother. I remember hearing about a younger brother a few times, but Soto hadn't mentioned him in some time. He hadn't mentioned anyone in his family for a bit. I yelled for Soto, hearing a door creak as he rounds the corner and descends down the stairs. He keeps his head down, eyes fixed on his socked feet as he pads down each step, only looking up once he's reached the main floor. Not reacting at first, he merely looks at the floor with a blank stare. He takes a moment, as if the pieces suddenly clicked into place. His face distorts into confusion before his eyes widen in shock. Victor? The fuck are you doing here? The kid's or Victor's expression changes for a split second before reverting back to his hopeful demeanor. I go to school here now. I figured I'd get a head start and have someone show me around, so who better than you, Wardy? I turn to look at Soto, visibly flabbergasted as he stares at his brother. He looks to me, eyes begging the question of what to do. I offer a half-hearted shrug in response, not even having the wherewithal to laugh at the nickname. Soto's right eye twitches, shaking his head to compose himself. He marches toward the door, nudging me out of the frame so he can stand in front of his brother. Their resemblance is way more apparent now. The pair are practically a warped reflection of each other. Soto was taller by a few inches, and his hair had a straighter texture, offsetting Victor's curls. Their mouths were different too. Victor's was much more full, though I don't know why my brain caught that difference. Because you like kissing them. Anyway, Soto turns his head to me, cocking it back. I take the hint and step away. I begin my trek up the stairs and hear the door close behind me. I stare at the door, the mumble of voices faint behind the plywood. I spare a quick glance back at the stairs before going back down the stairs and pressing my ear to the door. So you left mom and dad behind? Don't they pay for your phone? That's what you're worried about right now? My fucking phone? Hey, watch your language. Warren, seriously? I'm gonna call them. Can't just show up like this. And what do you think they'll say? They're not gonna want me to come home, but they can at least do something. Like what? I don't know. I hear a pause. It stretches for a bit. Neither brother saying anything. A deep sigh is let out. What were you even planning in coming here? Ever since you enlisted, I don't know, everything just felt pointless. So you ran away? A foot stomps on the pavement. I didn't run away, okay? I got into UTI. I have scholarships that will cover my tuition and board. I just needed somewhere to be before school starts. That wasn't there. So, you showed up at my front door to couch surf. I remember you saying you weren't living on base anymore, so I figured I can give it a shot, and you didn't think to call or text before just showing up here. I haven't heard from you in almost a year. They took my phone. What? It's a long story. I don't want to talk about it. That's a pretty important story. I don't want to talk about it, Warren. Drop it. Please. You're putting a lot on me right now, Vix. Look, I have some money saved from my gap year. I can pay something in rent while I find a job here. Victor, you don't even have to say yes. I can rent a room nearby. You can show me where I can find work around here. Victor, I just had to get out of there. And I knew you were here and I had to at least try. Victor. Fuck, I'm going to say yes. Just give me a second. If there's one thing you've always had, it's some fucking nerve. And I couldn't love you any less for it. The two laugh in unison, sharing the same cackle and snort. Care to help me bring my stuff up? My truck is packed. You have a truck? Well, yeah. What about it? Nothing. I just didn't think. Think what? I mean, you, of all people. A truck? If it was all I could afford, don't be an ass. Okay, fine. Fine. But we're probably going to need help. Suddenly, the door I was listening through opens, smacking me in the face. The impact disorients me, causing me to trip over my own feet and crash to the floor. Pull out. What the fuck? I recovered quickly, springing to my feet and composing myself, embarrassing, heating up my face like a bonfire. So, I meet the brothers' shocked faces, panning over to Victor's in particular. I hear you need some help unpacking. I pushed past both of them. Just let me know which truck is yours and I'll do the rest. I step into the hallway, our apartment parallel to the third floor balcony. I lean against the railing and peer out over the parking lot, seeing a beat up, rusted beige truck packed to the brim parked along the last rows of the shrubbery. He was nice enough to park in one of the visitor spots. I turn back to face Soto. Call Ruick from his room. He can help too. And with that, I walk to the under end of the hallway with the stairs. Who's the dude built like an oak tree? I hear Victor's voice ricochet off the walls of the hallway. And once again, I continue my descent. All right, hold tight. I must blow my nose, and I don't think you want to hear that. It's pretty fucking gross. So give me a second. I shall return.
Still don't know my words, still stressing perfection. Let you all in my mental, got me looking too desperate. Damn, you ain't deserve.
Okay, sorry about that. I'm sorry. I had to blow my nose and it was pretty gross. So, all right. We're at present day. Hold on, we didn't know he was religious beforehand. Yes, we did. Yes, we did. He talked about it in previous chapters when he talked about his family and where he talked about where Bilal was from. So we did know that he was religious beforehand. He alluded to it very lightly, but it was there. As far as this here, I'm gonna be honest, it's interesting that he used that term to describe mix, but for me specifically, I mean, I probably wouldn't have seen it that way. Didn't even know where to look when it came to the name of the fucking All right, everybody ready? All right, present day. How's everyone this morning? Everyone awake? I stare at the group in front of me. Everyone bleary-eyed and groggy. No one answers my question. Well, that's great. All right, that's okay. I'll let you all wake up some more. How's another 20 minutes now? Again, no one responds. I take their silence as a yes. It was still early, but we needed to knock out our preliminary meeting before the full town hall. I look across the room and see Victor talking to Kirsten. He appears put together enough, but I see the bags under his eyes and his delayed reaction time. I've been trying to speak with him since he arrived. I knew to be early enough to meet him here, but he's been snubbing me. And I know the last go at the college was a lot. Victor more effective than anyone, but Fitz was right. We have a responsibility to the community first and foremost. The room starts to get more lively, and that's when I know we're all ready to get started. All right, people, time to get the preliminary started. We're going to start off with the roll call, per usual. Head of Agriculture, Kirsten Powell. In attendance. Head of Animal Husbandry, Derek Richardson. I'm here. Head of Countermeasures, Jonah Horacio. Air Boss. Head of Education, Lisette Whitmore. Here. Head of Housing, Sloan Presley. I'm here, John. Head of Inventory, John O'Cook. Alive and awake. I finish up the rest of the roll call with no disturbances and finally move on to the agenda for the morning. We start the more mundane topics. Sloan goes over some requests for maintenance needed in some of the buildings that people have complained about. She does well at taking care of minor repairs, but she mentions needing some additional help with the plumbing issue. Head of Labor Ryan Shaw offers his assistance and says he'll organize a team of workers skilled in the necessary trades to work out what needs to be done. The rest is the same old song and dance. Lisette says the children are doing just fine. The animals are thriving under Derek's watch. Kirsten managed another successful harvest and is gearing up for our winter crops. It was all the typical shit. But Victor's tense figure stationed next to me was a gnawing reminder that we're about to make this meeting not so normal. We finished everything in record time, leaving me ample time to move on to the big kahuna. All right, now that we've got the municipalities out the way, I do have an important matter to discuss. The attention is all on me now. Victor noticeably stiffening in his seat. I do my best to not focus on him as I stand up from my seat. So, as we all know, we've gotten a visitor recently. The group begins to murmur amongst themselves, but with a wave of my hand, I silence the noise. Warren Soto was a man I knew well in the old world. Antoine and I served with him when we were active Marines. They all turned in. Lincoln only gives them out of agreement. Soto was a skilled strategist when we were on active duty, a trait I can attest to personally, I explained. He even was testing for a higher rank before he was dishonorably discharged. The group all exchanges glances, another murmur erupting from them. I was getting there, but thanks for beating me to it, Mr. Bellinghausen. I pressed my lips together into a thin line. He was, but that in and of itself is a discussion for another time. With his skill set, something that we have not had until now, I am asking if we can propose another shot at the college this time, with me at the helm. I expected a torrent of outrage and pushback, but it never comes. Each leader looked at each other before giving their own expression of agreement. I'm befuddled by the reaction, looking out at the small crowd. No one's gonna fight me on this? I pan around to Victor, equally as shocked as I was. He looks like he's about to speak in his protest, but he steels himself and settles back into his chair. All right, let's just put it to vote. All in favor? Show of hands. Everyone raises their hand, much to my surprise and Victor's dismay. All in opposition? Show of hands. Victor stands alone as he shoots his hand up, wide eyes aimed at him all over the room. Redness creeps into his cheeks, but he doesn't waver. The voting comes to a close as I adjourn the meeting. We disperse, having some downtime before we open the doors, and the rest of the community files in. I gaze at Victor, this time discussing with Jono. I go up to the pair, Victor turning his head in time to see me approaching and swiftly excusing himself to walk over to Sloan, who's across the room. Silent treatment, huh? Yeah. Annalise gives me the same treatment every now and again. Just walk on eggshells they throw at you, and you'll get through it. He gives me a reassuring squeeze on the shoulder before moving on to speak with Antoine and a few others, most likely about his time on the floor today. Jono said Victor was supposed to talk to me about it on Thursday, but the explosive interaction we had at the Hollow, he decided it was best to approach me directly. I appreciate when people come to me personally. It's a practice I've been trying to encourage since I took power. Fitz was a fun guy when he was in charge, but he was so deeply involved in everything that he delegated tenant relations to either me or Antoine. I've been trying to improve what Fitz lacked, a task that is much easier thought about than practiced. Without Victor to act as my sounding board, it left me to meander the rest of the council, passing the time with small talk. After excruciating 30 minutes, sorry about that, I lost my place. After an excruciating 30 minutes, it's time to let people in. The day before. Let me turn the music down a little bit. Just a bit. There we go. It was a rainy day. The drops of moisture were softly wrapping their bodies against the solid pane of the window in Warren's room. We hadn't spoken much this afternoon, both of us subdued from the chaos of the last few days. It was a nice change of pace considering the other things going on. Victor, having chosen to stay at Kirsten's quarters the last couple of nights, Warren was going through the stack of books I brought him. I remember some of his favorites were among the rows of the library we restored. He settled on the Glass Castle, set it down on his lap, gathering the rest of the stack and putting it on the nightstand next to the bed. Gonna read that one again? A soft smile blooms on his face. It's classic. Mainly to you. Hey, it's a heartwarming story. And this shit won awards. I'm just teasing you, Wardy. Relax. He grimaces at the nickname, shooting me a pointed glare. I knew better than to call him that, something that Victor used to, but I'm afraid to say I had an ulterior motive. No one's called me then. No one's called me that in over a decade. Got a typo here. Gonna mark it. No one's called me that in over a decade, Johnny boy. I merely shrugged at his words. And no one's called me Janya in the same amount of time. Yet you did as soon as you got your bearings. His mouth opens to retort, yet shuts it abruptly. You got me there? The quiet descends on us again. Warren thumbs through the pages of the book, stopping somewhere in the second half. You're not going to cover? Oh, I will eventually. I just wanted to read one of my favorite scenes, which is when Jeanette and Lori create their plan to go to New York. Oh, and then they help bring the other two up there. He looks up at me, a sad smile printed on him. Yeah. It always gave me hope for Victor and I back then. You want to give him hope now? His smile vanishes in an instant. It's not fair for me to lay a trap for him like this, but I needed him. He's still on that college, Bilal. I have been workshopping around. I'm getting some positive feedback. Didn't you say someone important died the last time? Isn't anyone worried about that happening again? I grit my teeth slightly. I forgot I didn't tell him exactly who died. He'll figure it out eventually, I'm sure, but that's for future me to worry about. Look, the last time we did this, we got so close. Your brother was a big help in getting us to this point, but we can't depend on him this time. He goes to say something, but quickly stops himself. He ruminates for a minute, having a similar tell to Victor, as his eyes dart around the room. Okay, and say I do help you. What then? I ponder his words for a moment. Worst case scenario? We fail, epically, and the nest implodes, and the people will probably turn on me, and I trail off. I can't risk mentioning who my second in command is. Still haven't manned up and told Warren about that. I don't know why I can't tell him. He can handle it, I'm sure. I've come close, but every time I go to say the words, my mouth just dries up. It's not an ideal situation. To my credit, who wants to tell their best friend he's been dating their younger brother? I feel bad for keeping this from him. I feel even worse considering what I'm getting ready to do. But all those feelings have to be put aside now. I don't want to think about what else will happen. I pivot. But best case scenario, we could score big and we open the door to new possibilities of improving our way of life. Warren doesn't meet my gaze, but I know I have him. You don't have to stay, Warren. You're right. I shouldn't try and keep you here. So I'm coming to you as a friend who needs help. He looks up at me, his eyes showing me the level of care he has. The bond we forged in the Marines is unlike anything either of us have ever had. We were battle brothers, and even after all this time, a friend like him could never be forgotten. He was someone who would sneak snacks into the barracks for the rest of us, making sure to bring Butterfingers to me without me asking. He drove me around after I totaled my car and couldn't get over my road anxiety. He was the first one I could admit to that I was bisexual and told me all about his gay brother that he loved and supported. The brother I ended up dating all these years later, in a relationship that I'm actively hiding from him. I stare at his face, seeing the weight of my plea slowly making itself known to him. I knew the size of his heart and the things he was willing to do for those he loved. Flashes of Victor appear on his face, the resemblance between them almost as apparent as the love they still harbor. Warren's love for Victor is enough for him to continue to exile and torture himself, putting his mind and body through the ringer to maintain his distance. It was obvious to everyone who knew them. Everyone but them. This will be for their own good. I know it will. I just wish it didn't have to come to this. I looked my best friend in the eye, his golden brown gaze meeting my own, and I braced for the impact of what I set out to do. I just wish it would hurt me a little less. I need your help, Warren, and so does your brother. He goes to protest, but I cut him off. He doesn't know it, but he does. And this could pave the way for you two to finally heal. Present day. Town halls are also pretty monotonous. I do my opening statement and invite the department heads to each get their words. They take turns to announce the changes coming down the pike and updates to their current projects. This is another tactic Fitz introduced me to, having as much transparency between those in power to those residing. I've done my best to uphold this. I can only hope I've done so well. Town hall proceeds without much fanfare. Like the preliminary meeting, we have to get more boring stuff out first. Janice and Elaine are the first to speak once we open up the floor. It's the usual spiel about the safety and the concern of the rest of the community. Them and their little group mean well, I know they do. But the constant badgering gets exhausting sometimes. I listen to them for as long as I can, cutting their rant short. I noticed Derek started to doze off again. I do my best to soothe their discomfort, citing Warren as the main reason for their tangent. Jono takes the lead on the floor, asking for the tenants any pressing needs aside from the basics of rations and medicine. A few people pipe up and say they would like tools for the community to use, adding credence for Sloan's need for labor to assist with more major repairs. Some of the residents who work in power and supply also express a desire for any tech parts currently in salvage to be moved over to them. The set chimes in, staking a claim to any writing utensils, paper, and books lying around. A few more people speak up. Jono vigorously jots down each and every request coming in from the community. And with that, it's time to inform the populace of my plan. I rise from my seat like before, this time addressing the nest as a whole. Men, women, children are all in attendance this morning, everyone looking to me in this moment. My hand trembles slightly, quickly cramming it in my pocket to hide the moment of weakness. The department heads greenlit the proposal, sure enough, but there is no guarantee that the residents will mirror their response. I scan as many faces in the crowd, seeing a shred of validity in Victor's protest. Some of these people have been directly affected by the previous attempts on the university, either directly participating or knowing someone who did, or worse, knowing someone who didn't return. I glance over at Kirsten. She's too far away from me to see her face, but I know how Martin's fate impacted her and how it's impacted Victor. Nonetheless, it's time to be the leader they need me to be, the leader I need to be. With this town hall coming to a close, I do have one final matter on the agenda. I am well aware of the rumblings that have been spreading across the community. It's not lost on me that you're all feeling unsure and fearful over our new arrival. Like Miss Thompson and Miss Layman have illustrated for us, there is a lot of confusion, and I am here to clear it up. The rumors are true. The man that returned with us from the mall is a man I served with in the Marines, and he was dishonorably discharged. But the situation regarding his discharge is a complex one that I am not able to elaborate. Janice Thompson stands on from her seat. Are we harboring fugitives now? Her and her group all start a ruckus, fanning the flames for others to join in. Fugitive? I guarantee you, that's not. You're supposed to keep us all safe. And you brought a dangerous man into our home. There are children here, families. One by one, the populace erupts into protest. I do my best to calm them down, but it's no use. At every turn, my words are cut off by another argument, and I'm overwhelmed. I turn to Victor, who's finally able to meet my eyes. his worried gaze giving me no comfort in this shitstorm. Everyone, just relax. A familiar voice cuts through the static. I understand where we're all coming from, but I also served with Warren Soto. Oh no, this is not good. If this is enough to quiet them, and Antoine's face settled into a cool resolve. It's well known that Director Bilal and I have not seen eye to eye, but I can agree with his assessment of Soto's character. Janice and her group are also quiet at this, and I look at them and turn my eyes back to Antoine, unsure of what his angle is. He steps up to join me at the front, much to my shock. Despite his discharge, he was exceptionally skilled and never gave anyone doubt as to his intentions. And we, the council, believe with his skill set in our arsenal, we can resume our efforts to expand the nest. The whispers resume, but not as hostile this time. Genuine curiosity seeming to emerge from the community. Antoine looks at me with a kind expression, motioning for me to take the lead, and I shoot him a confused look. He steps closer to me, keeping his voice low. Helping you here. So help me help you. What do you mean by that? Just trust me, Bilal. I got your back. I eye him for a brief moment before turning back to face the nest. Antoine is correct. The council has been discussing planning another expedition to the university. This time with Soto's help. Everyone is dead quiet. The eerie silence is settling in like a dense fog. To no one's surprise, Janice's group is the first among them to speak up. After the disaster of last year, why would anyone think to go back to that place? This comes from Tara, the eldest of the group. We understand the hesitation. No one is denying the gravity of the situation, Mrs. Williamson. I attempt to soothe. And despite the failure of last year, there was a substantial amount of progress made. How are we supposed to trust any of this? Shaya grumbles. I go to speak, but Antoine cuts me off. We do have a solution for this. Some of the members of the council did speak about how to best to ensure that this time it would be different. My mind flashes back to the group Jono went to speak with, an unsettling feeling forming in my stomach. While I have no doubt that Soto will be able to prove himself to all of you, as he's done to Director Bilal and myself, we thought it would be best to propose that he be assigned a liaison if he is to join the expedition. My anxiety relaxes some. I was hoping to this mission myself. Watching over Warren shouldn't be too big of a deal. Antoine is correct. I will make sure Soto is watched rather carefully on this expedition to ensure its success. Antoine places a hand on my shoulder. While it's admirable that you're willing to take on so much, Director, the department has believed it'd be best if someone else was assigned to watch over Soto. My brow furrows. Unable to decipher Antoine's motive, he takes his hand off my shoulder, beginning to pace in front of me while speaking to the tenants. Director Bilal proposed to us that he will lead his expedition. This fact alone is what made us agree to move forward with the proposal. His tone is warm, words cascading down like a river of honey. But leading an expedition is already a daunting task. So me and some of the other department heads believed it was best that Soto be supervised by someone who's more able. He stops pacing, coming back to stand next to me again, though at more of a distance this time. We've decided to nominate his brother, Victor Soto, for the task. The crowd erupts again. Various people call the decision into question. It's similar to the uproar when I named Victor as my second in command. His face was beet red as Kirsten and Sloan moved to his side to calm him down. He turns his ire on the women, questioning both of them as their attempt to soothe is foiled. The chorus of voices makes it difficult to discern what's being said from the crowd and from Victor, but Antoine faces the music with a relaxed smile. I turn back to Antoine as he merely puts his hands up and motions for the crowd to be quiet. It takes a few tries, but he finds success nonetheless. We're aware of the controversy this may ensue, but prior to this appointment to my previous role, Victor was notorious amongst us for being unbiased, was he not? And I, more than anyone, could make an attempt to disprove that fact, but I can't. Not to mention, Victor's involvement in the last 3 missions proved to be greatly beneficial. With that combined, the efforts of Director Bilal and the Sotos, we might be able to truly succeed this time. Crowd rumbles some, their panic subdued by Antoine's flowery words. I look at him in astonishment, certain remarks letting me know the exchange is not lost on the residents. I move toward him, leaning in to whisper in his ear, Antoine, what the fuck are you doing? The red-headed man doesn't answer my question, just giving me a devious smile before taking a step back. Put it to vote, Johnny boy, and you're welcome. Without further ado, we will be open voting. Iris, my assistant, stands up from her chair and turns to the crowd. As we all know, all those in opposition walk to the right of the room. Those in agreement to the left, and those undecided remain where you are. The crowd begins to sort themselves at her words. And remember, if there is no clear majority, we will distribute the voting cards and count the votes manually. Some people are quick to their decision. Janice and her group moving to the right almost immediately. There are several others who gather in the middle, all in deep discussion as some peter off on their own respective sides, others moving as a group in their decision making. The voting continues, on a large group beginning to form as the middle begins to thin out. As it stands now, both sides are pretty split, and at the rate we're going, we may need to hand out the cards. The group continues to deliberate with each other, stragglers splitting off to go to opposing sides or sitting down in the middle. I turn to look at Antoine, a smug look spread across his face as he busies himself doodling on his notepad. I then turn to Victor, his face expressionless, though the subtle movement of his cheeks lets me know he's chewing the tender flesh on the inside. He's on his own now. A quick peek at Kirsten and Sloane's faces shows me they were unsuccessful. I pan back at the group, all staring at each other, resolve printed on each person as they exchange what appears to be final words. My stomach is in knots as they all cast glances at each other, a group size that will give whatever side they choose the winning vote. The knots within me contort into a wave of nausea, gnawing at me until I'm ready to keel over and upchuck my breakfast. As the groups begin to move in unison, they all walk over to the left. Well, it's settled. By way of majority, the nest has decided in favor of another group, Trip. Antoine lets out a loud whoop in victory, joined in by another few department heads. The chorus of cheers is drowned out as I look at Victor's crestfallen face. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that's a lot. It's always the small shit that I miss. Well, yes, just little tiny ones. There's not a lot of editing you have to do. Just small ones. All right, so this is messy. Let's talk about it. Antoine is so desperate to get control of the nest and get rid of the Sotos as well as John that he will sacrifice all of them and let them kill themselves going to this college. I think that's really fucked up. I also think that Georgina is fucked up for even participating in this and sanctioning this. However, I do believe that this somehow is going to bring the Soto brothers back together, because nothing brings out family drama more than being forced to be with each other. There'll be no running, no hiding. He has to take this head on. That's going to be the interesting part. We're moving on to chapter 9, ladies and gentlemen. Do I have chapter 9? I do. It's just me and you. I feel so lost. I don't know what to do. What if I choose wrong thing to do? Alrighty. We're on chapter 9. This one is China Cartwright. Are we ready? 12 years prior. The music blasting through my earbuds is cut out abruptly as a vibration rattles the desk. I grab my phone from its spot next to my tablet as I read the caller ID and accept the call. Hey, Sheila. Is everything okay? China, dear. I'm so glad you picked up. Are you still at the hospital? Yeah, I am. I look up from the clerk desk and gaze over at the barren hallway. Got put on psych ward duty yet again. Oh, okay, are you working a later shift today? Her voice is shaky, causing an uneasy feeling to settle in my stomach. Is everything okay? Did something happen with the Lou? No. They're okay, sweetheart. There was just a little bit of an issue with who? Her voice crackles over the line, fixing the response but not following through. The line goes quiet as I wait for her to speak. It's your mother, China. She had met me at the door when I went to pick Nelsie up to take her to gymnastics. What did she say to you? She threatened to report me to the board. My nervous heart plummets. Sheila, please. I'm sorry, China, but my hands are tied. But we need you. I need you. I plead. I know, sweetie, I do. But your mother said that I was overstepping, and I'm afraid she's right this time. I feel my eyes begin to water as nerves begin to rack my brain. I have no choice, but I have to step back. I'll still help Bobby and Stevie during study hall when I can, but I can't do the carpools anymore or the dinners. Pinching the bridge of my nose, I take a deep breath, dab my eyes, swallowing whatever tears may have fallen. I understand, Sheila. I wish I could do more for you kids. But my work is my love, and I can't risk losing that. I know. Just don't be a stranger. I will try not to be. But please, go back to calling me Miss Richardson going forward. Okay? Okay? Take care, Miss Richardson. We exchange our goodbyes and call ends. Resuming the music in my earbuds, I pause my music, opting to sit in silence for a bit as I stare at the open textbook in front of me. I was hoping to knock out my homework tonight. My recent switch to the night rotation dashing any hopes I had of getting a good night's rest before my lecture at 8 o'clock. I stand up from the desk, walking down the hall to a familiar empty room, still undisturbed. I lay down on the cot in the center of the room, burying my face in the pillow as I let out a scream. The pillow does a good job at muffling. As I continue to lay on my stomach for what feels like forever, I know I'm not needed tonight. No one shows up in this wing on a night shift. I could just stay here and catch up on sleep. It won't be. It would be so easy. But easy has never been made for a girl like me. I get up from the cot, straighten my scrubs, heading back into the hallway, plop down at the desk. Textbook is spread out over the surface of the desk, filled with colorful diagrams and black text in beige boxes to ham up the dull material. I skim through the pages I'm required to read. The topics covered in this section, not a complete and utter bore. I opt to read through, might as well, muddle through whatever work I can, though it's not going to be my best work. The rest of the shift is uneventful as I had anticipated, losing myself in assignments until the early morning. The deep navy blue of the night sky fades into a soft teal as the morning birds begin to sing, and the sun not yet rising but glowing numbers on the digital clock tell me that my 12-hour shift is over. I finish my last page due tomorrow, or later tonight, I should say, and tuck it away in my folder. I gather my belongings, head over to the break room to clock out, and get everything ready to go to the last place I want to be at. At least it would be, if my heart wasn't yearning for my bed. There's other shit to do when I get home, though. Bobby and Stevie can make it to the bus just fine on their own, but I gotta make sure Nelsie and Mar can get to school on time. I tuck my folder and textbook into the tote bag and make a beeline for the elevator to the parking garage. It's 4:15, so I got less than an hour to make it home and get the girls ready for my day. My mind flutters back to the phone call I had with Sheila or Miss Richardson. Now, at the beginning of my shift. I mean, what was Mama thinking? The question turns itself bitterly in my head, not liking any of the possible answers my brain is coming up with. Thankfully for me, the early hour makes traffic a non-issue, as I'm able to glide home quickly and immediately begin prepping myself to get everything ready. My switch to the night rotation has complicated this routine quite a bit, but the most important thing is that it's able to still get done. The front door creaks as I gently push it open, slinking into the house quietly to not disturb anyone until I have to. Shutting the door, I pad the door through the hallway and make my way to the kitchen. I drop my keys on the countertop and flick the overhead light on. It takes a bit for my eyes to adjust to the brightness, but it evens out as I go to make the kids breakfast. On my way to the pantry, I stop short as I'm welcomed by an unusual sight. The coffee maker next to the stove has clearly been used. For a split second, I thought I forgot to clean it before I left last night, but the half-full carafe let me know its use is way more recent. You can help yourself to some. There's plenty left in there. I whip around and face the source of the voice, seeing Mama sitting at the dinner table. She was in her robe and bonnet, eyes still clinging to sleep. She had her favorite mug in her hand, the one Dad had gotten her for a Mother's Day gift a long time ago. She had several of the kids' drawings printed on the ceramic surface. Mama, what are you doing up? She cast a glance at me, cocking an eyebrow in question. I'm taking the kids to school. Huh? When did you decide this? She turns in her chair to face me. I'm your mother. I don't need to inform you of all my decisions. Her tone was soft. Her face remained gentle. But the steely undertone in her words was a short warning shot that I've heard before. I was tired. My body and mind craving the warmth of my comforter as well as my cuddles from the favorite stuffed frog. I wanted nothing more than to just accept her answer and retreat, but something was off, and I couldn't back down. I meet her eyes instead. They were still a little droopy. Her posture let me know she was quite awake and alert. I didn't think you'd be awake right now. It's real early. She takes the sips of her mug. You got a lot of questions this morning. Well, you're acting weird, so yeah. She flinches at the statement, my bluntness a byproduct of exhaustion. She goes to speak, but I cut her off. I mean, you haven't taken the kids to school in years, and then you chased Miss Richardson away last night. So I just kind of need to know what's going on, Mama. That woman was crossing the line, And she needed to be reminded that this is my family, not hers. She was just trying to help, like she has been. Oh, so how long has this been going on under my nose? How long have you been letting a stranger into my house? She's not a stranger. I don't know that woman. Maybe you would have if you didn't rot in your bed all the time. You will not speak to your mother like that. She booms, having risen from her chair. I will not be talked to like that in my house. I should back down. Just quickly apologize. Head back to my room. But something's emboldening me to act, to challenge. Your house. When I help pay the bills? Excuse me? The weight of my words caused her to stumble back. The hand not holding the mug were moving to clutch her heart. I feel the heat rise in my cheeks, the warmth draining all the moisture inside of my mouth. It's true. Don't act surprised when the power's been on the last 2 months. Well, things are going to be different now, love. Different. Different how? She opens her mouth, but words fail to come out. You think you don't have to explain yourself? After up and changing shit around, a loud smack emanates the wooden table. Now, I know I told you about taking that tone of voice with me, little girl. Her eyes widen and her face was set into a stern look. She catches herself, pressing her ring finger between her brows to massage the area. A deep breath comes from her. The inhale resetting her demeanor as cool expression returns. She places her mug on the coaster, begins to walk towards me, her robe and nightgown swishing at her slippered feet. Like I said, things are going to be different now. I've found a new job, and I'll be making some changes. She places her hands on my shoulders, the warmth in her hands threatening to melt the tense muscles beneath my skin. You've taken on so much, baby. I know you have, and I'm so proud of what you've done. Her hands rubbing my shoulders, and the sensation sending a shiver down my spine. But I've got it from here, honey. Okay? Got it from here? So you checked out for over 10 years, but you got it from here? Her face twitches some, but her expression remains steady. Now, China, don't be like that. She reaches for me, but I swat her hand away. Just stop. Her hand retracts with the quickness, fixing a pointed stare at me. You raise your voice at me one more time, and I swear, oh, what are you gonna do? Ever since Pop died, you've been nothing but a deadbeat. My head whips to the left before I even feel the sting. A sharp pain searing itself on my cheek. I cut my face as I turn my head, seeing my mother's contorted in anger. Nostrils flared as she seethed. My eyes are wide, meeting hers, as I see realization dawn on her. Her gaze shifts to her, now trembling left hand. She looks back at me, a look of distress painted over her now, her hands reaching back towards me again. I'm sorry. I didn't mean. Her pleading is lost on me. I dodge her hands and rush out of the kitchen, coming up the stairs where I met with the stares of my siblings. All of them were lined on the steps, wide eyes greeting me, but I pushed past them and ascended to my room. I slammed the door shut behind me, hearing my mother holler over doors in her house, before locking the door and crashing on my bed. I'm face down on my pillow as I let down a guttural scream that's muffled by the quilted fabric. I don't know how long I screamed, but eventually my scream subsided and sleep took me under. Present day. Well, another successful town hall meeting is in the books. Nelsie drapes an affectionate arm over me as we walk back towards the center to meet with Stevie. She had voted against the trip to the college, and I can't say I blame her. Last year took a toll on everyone. A curt nod greets us as a hand runs itself through her locks. I guess we can get back to work now. Nelsie and I merely shrug in response. There's been a constant boom of voices since the meeting was adjourned. Casting my eyes to the stage, I see Victor arguing intensely with John and Antoine. It was strange seeing the two men on the same side. Victor clearly didn't take too kindly to the impromptu alliance. This town hall was a strange one. John and Antoine's tit for tat was on full display, and it was obvious that the council was gone behind John and Victor's backs. This was the first for the council. The chatter among the residents was audible. Even after the session had ended, the subtle mutiny did not go unnoticed. A small group had converged in the center of the room, the crows quarreling at the crowd to no one's surprise. Antoine showed great initiative today. He showed us and Bilal how a true leader conducts himself. Fitz, in his compromised state, chose to play favorites and ignored the needs of the nest. But we were reminded today who actually has our interests at heart. I turned to Nelsie, ears notably perked up, and I dragged her away. Oh, child. I'm not paying them any attention, and neither should you. My hand is firmly grasped on her bicep, pulling her to the door, with Stevie following behind. We're greeted by the elements as soon as we step aside. We all exchange our goodbyes as we split up to do our tasks for the day. Nelsie was going to be stuck in charting today, so I had some reprieve from her badgering. While Stevie was assigned to work on the barricades and fencing along the perimeter, I make my way to the infirmary. My charge is to monitor Warren as he continues his recovery. Everything came back fine, and he's going to make a complete recovery. He'll get the stitches removed sometime next week. John filled me in on some things over the weekend. He had made a point to check in on his buddy periodically these last few days, include him into his big plan. He said that Warren wasn't thrilled about it at first, but John was able to smooth talk him into it. There was no mention of the bombshell I dropped in anything he relayed back to me. Not that it was my business, but I figured I would have heard something about me blabbing to Warren. It's been nothing but crickets in that regard. I reached double doors, swiped my key card, ascending up the stairs. A few of the AM nurses greet me as I come in, although I don't engage in my usual small talk as I proceed down the hallway to Lauren's room. I reach the plexiglass window and peer in, seeing he's busied himself with one of the books from the stack John had lent him. I tap softly on the window, getting Warren's attention, and his eyes light up, lips turning to a soft smile. He beckons for me to enter the room, and I oblige, stepping through as he slides his bookmark between the pages he was reading and returns the book to the tray next to his cot. Done reading already? It looked like that was a real page turner. A soft chuckle comes from the man. I've read The Glass Castle before. The ending ain't going nowhere. Well, what's it about then? It's a memoir of the author and the complicated dynamics of her family. A story of how her and her siblings managed to escape and make a better life for themselves. So it's rather appropriate for you then. His soft smile vanishes, his eyes darting from mine to outside the window, eliciting a wince from me. Sorry. Too soon? He merely shrugs. Kinda. But my parents were never that bad. That's fine then. Changing the subject. I walk towards the chair I normally sit at and drag it closer to his cot, pulling out my knitting materials and getting to work. The trip's been greenlit. His eyes widen some as he noticeably stiffens, sending a bewildered look my way. Wait, are you serious? Yeah. The council was for it, and all in favor won on majority alone. But I thought there would have been more of a challenge against it. I relaxed back into the chair. There were some objections, but overall, everyone's for it. It surprised me some. Warren turns his gaze to the front of the room, thinking back to his upright cot. He sits there for a few minutes, before finally turning his face back to me. So, what now? Now we worry about getting you better so that we can all get these talents of yours that John keeps hyping up. He lets out a scoff. I promise I'm not as good as he's making me out to be. Don't you sell yourself short. You've managed to take care of yourself well enough all these years. That alone proves some merit. Yeah. But I haven't been a team player in a long time. I wave his words off. But you were a team player once upon a time. So it should be like riding a bike. Besides, you'll have John and Vic. I stopped myself short, but I had already said too much. Wait, what? It's nothing. Just no. No. Is Victor joining? His face is puzzled. I can almost see the flurry of thoughts coursing through his brain. More or less? More or less? People don't trust you. So the council proposed that Victor join the trip to supervise you. His face crunches. Couldn't John have done that? Yes. But they felt like him leading the mission would be too much on his own, so they chose your brother. He begins muttering to himself, his breath quickening. Seeing his distress, I set my needles down and extend a hand to his that had began shaking. Don't stress it, love. The trip's not happening until next month. We've got plenty of time between now and then to worry. But for now, let's just focus on getting you better. This eases Warren for now, at least. Takes a deep breath to recenter himself, and I return to my newest project. His eyes trail down to my hands as I feed through the thread through my needles, and fasten each stitch to expand the sweater I was working on. I like the colors you're using. Who's that sweater for? One of the nurses asked me to make one for her family member. In actuality, I had asked John if he remembered Warren's favorite colors and began working on the sweater for him. Even if he doesn't stay here long, I would hope it will be a momentum of his time here and that he would always be welcome back. Didn't have enough yarn to make either the entire sweater purple, so I had to make more of an accent color and use red and black yarn to make up the bulk of the garment. So you take commissions. My face stretches ever so slightly. Let's focus on your recovery first. Then we can talk knitting. I cast a playful look towards him. Now you've been rotting in this cot for almost a week. So let's get started on those PT stretches. He lets out a groan as I set my knitting materials down and begin helping him to a standing position. It's easier for him to stand now, and the weekend staff began the ones to thank for that. And I go through all his exercises. It was pretty simple stuff. Making sure he had the use of all of his appendages, as well as testing the stretch of his muscles. We move through each one, making sure to log his progress as in comparison to the previous nurse's findings. How John even convinced you to go for the trip? I thought you were ready to cut and run as soon as you healed. Warren was in a deep lunge. Yeah, that's still my course of action. But John pleaded his case, and why not help a buddy out? You two were pretty close in the old world. Close? Me and him were inseparable. John mentioned something about being battle bros. Another laugh. Oh, we were quite the quartet. Quartet? Yeah. John, me, Ruitt, and Anderson. As soon as we could live off base, we got an apartment together and just raised hell. His face was lively, eyes sparkling in reconciliation as he went into the story of how they coined the term. It was pretty interesting one. Warren had snuck out past curfew to hook up with some girl, and on his way back to bed, almost got caught. So I'm ready to shit my pants as this big-ass sergeant stares me down, but then John, who had actually been shitting, just so happens to walk by and swoops in for the save. How'd he manage that? The sergeant was all talk. He did have some authority to get me in trouble, but apparently John knew he was banging one of the drill sergeants on the women's side while his wife was deployed. And next thing you know, he never bothered me again. We shared a laugh over the anecdote. He was a pretty good storyteller, to my surprise. So who was the girl? Was she more than just a midnight booty call? Slight blush rises in his cheeks, running his hand through his hair, which was freshly washed. Yeah, we were actually engaged for a bit. Heat rises in my stomach. Oh, really? Oh, yeah. I didn't press him further on the issue, letting the room fall silent as Warren lets out a snort. I'm just fucking with you. She totally ghosted me after that night. I gave him a playful smack on the shoulder, causing him to fall dramatically. Ooh, that hurt. You want the nest to know you're beating up your patients? I roll my eyes and give his ribcage a nudge with my boot. Oh, get up. You play around like this and you're gonna fuck up your switches. He gathers himself into a sitting position, wiping a tear from his eye in laughter. But yeah, that's how John and I became so buddy-buddy. Then we met Ruitt in tech school, and Anderson just happened to already be stationed in Tennessee when we all got there. And the rest is history? Pretty much. How did you even manage to get on the same base? Another snort comes from the man. We knew no one wanted to end up there. I bet y'all got some shit there. I bet y'all got up to some shit there. I'm from West Virginia, and I know there ain't shit to do but get up into some shit. His eyes went wide in excitement. Oh, and did we? Your boy Janya was the keg stand king. Janya. His face falls some almost embarrassed. It's an inside joke. But we had some crazy times back then. He felt so much lighter in the moment. Someone who claimed to be a loner, he was pretty expressive. I enjoyed the way his eyes lit up, the rest of his face, and the way the right corner of his lips twitched into a smirk. The moment felt good, and it's been a minute since I've had one like this. I had a lot of questions for him, and there was a lot I wanted to discuss with him, both professional and personal. But personal would have to wait, though, as there were things I needed to know. He was loosened up now, so it's as good time as any if I can make some headway. You could have better times now, you know. He deflated slightly, a more serious look falling over him as he rises and sits on the cot. The lighthearted atmosphere we had crafted is sucked out of the room. I don't know. Look, it's not my business, whatever is going on between you three. But all I can say is tomorrow has never been promised, even less nowadays. I sit down next to him on the thin mattress, staring at the side of his face as he looks on the floor. It's not fair to leave this world with such things unresolved. He takes a deep breath. Yeah, I know. Maybe this trip could change things. Change things how? His head snaps to face me, light shock smeared along his features. He stumbles over his word, but eventually he's able to speak. I don't know. He lets out a deep sigh. I just want to help you guys. The pieces clicked into place for me at his words, or the words he's not saying at least. John was an excellent sweet talker, and now I see the plan at play. It's not my business, so I don't vocalize this to Warren. I doubt he even realized what he's admitted to me now. All I can do is hope for the best. I give him a reassuring squeeze before getting up from the bed. Speaking of things being unresolved, I haven't heard anything from John or Victor about our conversation. Warren looks at me sheepishly. There's a lot going on right now. Might as well let them tell me when they're ready. It definitely saves me a headache, so I appreciate it. He gives me a rueful smile before shifting his eyes back to the floor. I notice a familiar feeling settling onto him like cumulus clouds. All right, moping time is over. It's time to get back to your PT. I wrangle him from the cot, and we continue his physical therapy. The rest of the time I have with him goes on without a hitch. We exchange stories from our time in the old world, carefully grazing the more difficult topics we don't want to think about. We wrap our session and I gather my things to move on to my next area. I bid Warren goodbye, leave the room rounding the corner, and almost run face first into Antoine. The taller man puts his hands out in front of him, greeting my shoulders as he steadies me from the jolt. You almost scared me there, China. I guess we both gotta watch out, huh? I'll keep that in mind. He gives me a sheepish grin as I take notice of his presence in the infirmary. It's unusual for him to stop by and visit, unless he's required to. So this impromptu run-in is a bit odd. Why are you here? A puzzled look mirrors mine as I gesture around us. You're never in here unless you have to be. So what's the deal? He composes himself quickly, straightening his posture before responding. I'm just paying a visit to my old friend Soto. Old friend? He didn't mention, well, we were more acquaintances. If you want to argue semantics, we were always friendly. I raise an eyebrow at him. Well, he just finished his PT, so I don't think he's up for visitors right now. Oh, I'm sure I'll be fine. We have a lot to discuss. He stepped around me, but I stepped in front of him again. As a medical professional, I don't think, oh, it's so sweet that you still cling to that little title, Miss Cartwright. I find it endearing, really. But the world is different now. So if you could, I'm not budging, Antoine. His face mirrors mine again. A battle of wills playing out between our cold glares. His posture remains picture perfect. His face melting into a more gentle look, but maintaining his signature coldness. I think you're forgetting who I am, just a little bit. Both my eyebrows raised at his words, crossing my arms in defiance. No, I know who you are. You are not the second in command, so I can tell you no if I so please. For a split second, his expression twitches. It was so sudden that I don't think I was supposed to catch it, but I do. He doesn't speak another word to me. He merely turns around and walks away. I watch him as he moves toward the stairs, making sure I don't see him descend before moving from where I stood. I spare a glance at the direction of Warren's room, barreling down the hallway to the receptionist desk, where the standing lead for our rotation was stationed. She greets me with a warm smile as I approach her, settling down the chart. It's okay. Leave it open. Setting down the chart she was working on. What's up, Shay? Hey, Taisha. Did Antoine check in before walking on the floor? Her face crunches a bit. He was here? I didn't see him. Yeah, I ran into him after finishing up with Soto. Then he went down the stairs. Well, he didn't talk to me directly, so he never checked in. I haven't moved in the last 3 hours. I turn her words over, some queasiness beginning to settle in my gut. I gotta finish my rounds, but let the others on the floor know he's wandering. Something's amiss. She gives me another nod as she yanks her pager from her pocket. I turn away from her and get on with the rest of my day. I was never fond of Antoine when he was in power. He served to be more of a hindrance as opposed to a direct line to Fitz. I didn't feel bad when he got ousted. John's way more involved than he would have been, and Victor will make sure anything he hears goes straight to him. I know he still had a lot of support though. I've heard many stories of him strong-arming his way through certain sections of the community due to having his own people peppered in. The knots in my stomach continued to tighten. His eagerness to speak with Warren was off-putting, and I didn't know what to make of it. He acted weird at the town hall, too. My mind's filled with flashes of him standing with John, a united front against Victor's tirade. Even during the town hall, he seemed to be helping John through it. instead of his usual behavior of cutting him off and arguing. It's getting weird, and I don't know what for. With another trip to the college being cemented in our plans, it's expected to be a little on edge. All the times I've attended the wounded from those trips would be enough to do so. However, it was Antoine's subtle shift that's the cause of my worry. What's brought this all on? Is he planning something? Why did he need to talk to Warren? Antoine's going on the trip. That's already been made clear. So what business does he have with him? I feel a whirlpool begin to form in my mind, and a quick shake of my head, I push it aside. I've got shit to do today, and for once, being in my head is not what I need. Stopping in the hallway for a minute, I take a breath and center myself. My grip on my rucksack readjusts, and I continue down the hallway. The sickly feeling in my stomach doesn't fade, however. It lingers throughout the rest of my day. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is chapter 9. Woo! That was a doozy. We learn more about China and her family, how her mother sunk into a deep depression after her father's death, and how China ended up having to play mom and older sister to her siblings. So much so, it was affecting her work, it was affecting her school, and she enlisted the help, it seemed, of a former teacher, to which the mother snapped out of her seemingly onslaught of depression and decided to strong arm the teacher from helping her, which I thought was a weird take. I mean, I understand you feel like, this woman is in your house, she's cooking food for your kids, and for you to be laying up in the bed for 10 years and not know that this is happening and then get mad because somebody is coming to help you, threatening to call CPS on her, what was CPS going to do to her? All she had to do was tell everybody you was being neglectful. I'd have dry snitched on your ass. Especially if I was doing all the motherfucking work. Bitch, I'm taking care of your kids. Yours. You threatening to call the CPS on me? Girl, I'm not the one doing wrong. I came here to help you. I'm trying to keep them from taking these children from you. But if you want the kids to get gone, I can gladly push that forward. Let me get in touch with CPS. Huh? She threatened to call the board of teachers. I would have called CPS first. Yeah. I would have called CPS first. People always let somebody threaten them. And I'm like, she's the one who's in the wrong. You were just trying to help. You probably would have got suspended or reprimanded for going a little bit too far with this student. But you wouldn't have got your license revoked from helping. Shit, my teacher used to do stuff like that for me. I remember I got a ride from my teacher once when she saw me walking home from school. All kind of stuff, child. Anywho's, Rico said chapter 10 is a long one, child. So if it's too long, I'm not going to.
Thanks for tuning in. Don't forget to rate, comment, and subscribe for more wrestling content. Check out our merch and consider becoming a member for exclusive perks, special emojis, and members-only content.